Hello and welcome to Mindful Living, where we explore the art of living with the intention, balance, and inner peace. I am Avik, your host, guiding you through conversations on health, meditation, mental well being, mindfulness, and the mind body connection. Each episode features expert insights to help you grow, heal, and thrive. So, take a deep breath, relax, and join us on this journey to a more mindful and fulfilling life. So, let's get started.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Mindful Living podcast. I'm your host, Sana, and today we are diving into a topic that we could all use a little more of: how to stay in the flow of a positive mindset. Our guest today, Mishawn Childers, is here to help us navigate this journey. She's a motivational speaker, life coach, and the author of Discover You: Six Steps to Achieving Purpose, and also The Voice: Decline or Accept. Will you answer his call? Growing up in a family that faced its own battles with dysfunction, Michonne took a powerful path to rediscover her worth and her voice. And she's now embarked on a mission to help women overcome self limiting beliefs and truly live with purpose. So, Michonne, we are thrilled to have you here, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Mishawn, you have helped so many people find purpose and positivity. What's the first step in staying in a positive mindset, especially when things feel tough or completely out of hand?
I have found that the first step is to heal yourself. A lot of times people try to tell us just think positive and feel good. But how can you feel good when you're dealing with so much insecurity or issues from growing up, low self esteem? So the first thing I say is deal with what you really feel and
Hmm.
heal and release. Because it's almost like if you can think about healing, like close your fist and see how much you can receive. So you can have a closed fist and you pray and you pray and you believe. But when you heal and when you release all of that baggage and trauma, you begin to open your hands to receive. So the first step is healing.
Hmm. Yeah, totally agree with that. So, when you talk about staying in the flow, what does that mean to you personally? How can someone recognize or realize when they are out of it?
Okay, from a spiritual standpoint, I truly believe we are spirits having a physical experience, a human experience.
Mhm.
And a way that we can stay connected, rather, is through your faith, through your worship experience. Like, I believe in God, some people don't, but whatever their spirituality is,
Mhm. Mhm.
when you stay connected to that, that is where your power is. I am actually doing a study now about the Spirit of God, the inner us.
Mhm.
That's so powerful and it's often overlooked that we're taught that God is within, the power of the Creator is within us. And when we connect to that power, that is where we are in the flow. When you lock step in step with the Creator, you understand your purpose, you know what it is, you step in it with boldness and confidence. After letting go of all of the trauma, there is a flow to life. Now, it's not always going to be easy, but there is a clear path and there is a consistent flow to life when you are in purpose.
Hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And for someone who has a lot of negative self talk, where would you suggest they start to change that inner dialogue or those self limiting beliefs?
Sure. Um, what I think about is, where did you first start believing that? So sometimes that was in childhood. Maybe it was a teacher who told you you weren't smart enough. Maybe it was a sibling, um, a parent, a friend, an ex boyfriend, a husband, whoever that is. Go back to when you started believing that, and then start asking questions when those negative thoughts hit. Is this true? Is this always true? Well, how can I be made in this image where I know that God is within me, or that I'm great, or
Mm-hmm.
that I have purpose? But this thought is saying I have no value. Which one is true?
Mm.
Which one literally makes sense? Because that's not always true, that negative thought. And what
Mhm.
I've learned, start questioning it and then speak something different. I'm choosing not to give my energy
Yeah.
over there. I did a study and I found out we have so many thoughts. I think it's the average of 60 thoughts in a day, and 90% of them are negative, and
Mhm.
85% of them are repetitive. So all day long, we are entertaining such negative thoughts
Mhm.
over and over and over. And then we wonder, why am I still where I am? There's no flow to negative thinking. So if you can, when those negative thoughts come,
Mhm.
question them. Don't run. Just say, is that true? Is that always true? What's a more empowering thought that I can have that aligns with my purpose? Because when you believe in those lies, you are really living a counterfeit life,
Right.
because the voice you're listening to did not give you your purpose, did
Mm.
not give you your talent,
Mhm.
or your vision, or the place that you've landed in to make it happen. So why would you listen to a voice that is not taking you anywhere
Correct.
90% of the time?
Correct. I totally agree with that. And while we are talking about the topic, of course, if you can share a bit about your personal journey with our listeners, Mishawn, and what motivated you to write "Discover You: 6 Steps to Achieving Purpose," and also the voice.
Sure. Um, Let me share a story with you. When I was in my early 20s, I met this guy and I thought he was the one. He was so handsome and tall and athletic, and I thought he was everything I had prayed for. And
Mhm.
I overlooked the signs that God had sent me that he was not the right one. And it nearly caused me to lose my life because I didn't listen to God. And so when I started thinking about it and I got out of that toxic relationship, I
Mhm.
did not know what my purpose was. And I had allowed myself to be in a relationship that was not positive because I didn't feel good about me.
Right.
And so that is what led me to creating a book about the steps to achieving purpose, because a lot of people, we really just don't know. We weren't raised in those environments to be empowered. And it's like a lot of us are starting from scratch.
Mhm.
So it's like it was a self taught journey, of getting out of toxic situations, learning that I'm worthy, learning to listen to your inner self, learning to step out in faith, not, procrastinating and things like that. So that is where I got, the steps to achieving purpose. The
Mm.
voice is, one day I was going for a walk.
Mhm.
This is after my mother had passed away from COVID.
Oh.
My
Mm.
dad had passed away in 2010, my brother in 2011, and my other brother was having some legal issues. And I was so mad that there's only 5 people in my family, and 4 out of the 5 were gone. And so as I'm going for a walk, I'm just mad. And I'm like, out of all the families in the world, I could have been born in a successful family, but here I am. And
Mm.
I really heard God tell me, the reason that you are successful and you got out of that relationship and that you did not do the things that your family did is because you listened to me.
Correct.
You heard my voice. and you obeyed. And he revealed, I warned every one of them, but none of them listened. And he said, create this and go let people know if they will listen to me, I will give them protection. I will give them a life of abundance and prosperity and wealth and health, but they've got to listen. And that's where I got the voice from. So it's a story, it's a book about multiple short stories that are based on true stories about what happens when you don't listen to the voice of God.
Wow. That is really, really empowering. Such a positive story. And thank you so much, Mishawn, for sharing with our listeners as well. So, as you shared your story, what were some of the biggest mindset shifts that you made to overcome personal challenges and also find your purpose?
I set out to reauthor my life. I knew that the decisions that my parents made, it was a household that suffered from alcoholism and, different things, negative thinking. And I knew I did not want that. And I knew that God had revealed something bigger and better for me. And so as I began to study and pray and, just see a better future, who I was and who I thought I was no longer fit who I was becoming and who I saw myself ultimately and who I wanted to be. So I started really focusing on surrounding myself with people in circles of where I wanted to be. I started listening to how they talk. How do they walk? What type of life do they live? What type of things are they educating themselves with, or what do they invest in? So that was one thing. I started also looking at how can I change the way I feel about myself? Because I can see all of these things that I want to achieve, but if I don't love me, I'm not going to be able to accept them and may end up self sabotaging myself in some way. So let me do some inner work. So I went to a counselor to work on some counseling, and I also did outside work to work on me. I did something where I got in a mirror and I would look into my eyes for a full minute and say, I love you. I forgive you. You are worthy. And so I did that. And so when I did that over and over and over, my mindset shifted so fast to where I was able to receive all of the things that God had shown me.
Wow, lovely. And some people say positivity is a choice, but others, I assume, they argue that some situations just don't allow for it. So, do you think it is realistic to expect people to stay positive no matter what?
I think that we have to own how we feel because if you think about it, when you look at social media, you're looking at everybody's highlight reel.
Correct.
And it's not real life. And I think there's not a problem sometimes of being disappointed, of being down for a second. It's when you let that become a consistent, like you entertain that thought a little bit too long, and then it becomes a thing, and then it just kind of sticks with you. So I think the best thing when you deal with a situation, process that emotion right then. It's the issue when we try to hold on. Oh, I'm fine. Everything's perfect. And then you end up, going to kick the dog, or you end up getting into it with your spouse when you could have just said, you know what, I feel this way and I need help with this. Or let me go cry. Let me go pray. Let me go kick a pillow. Whatever, just honor and acknowledge your emotions because I think society teaches you to pretend. Hollywood teaches you to pretend. Everything is pretend. And it's okay. Just don't stay there. Give yourself a set time. I'm going to feel this and live in this for 30 minutes. And after I get through with that time, I'm done. I'm not going to allow myself to go there. Depending on the situation Everything's different. It's always dependent, but you don't have to stay married to negative thinking.
Mhm. Lovely. That is really, really a strong message. And a lot of our listeners, Michonne, they are probably feeling the weight of their day to day lives, especially with so much of going around. So, for
Mhm.
someone who wants to start focusing on mindset, but they don't know where to begin, what's one small practical step you suggest they can take today?
What they can do is start building trust within yourself
Mm-hmm.
and start doing something every day and do it. And when you become disciplined, it really like I can trust myself. Like I said I was going to do X and I did it. And it could be something small like whatever that is. And then you do something else, I did it. And so little by little, you start realizing not only, am I shifting and thinking about shifting my mindset, I can trust me. Because a lot of times, we really don't have that inner trust to think, oh, I'm not going to be able to do that. I don't know if I can truly believe in myself. But if you start taking little steps every day through discipline and consistency,
Mm-hmm.
to start really building that trust that I can trust me to make this happen. I believe in myself. So, really start taking those small steps of discipline of whatever that is every day to start really building that trust within yourself.
Hmm. Great. And another question comes to my mind, Michonne. How do faith and personal belief systems they play a role in staying positive for the long haul?
I feel like we were created to be great. And the creator made us in such a way
Mm-hmm.
that we represent them with our image. And the spirit of God is within.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can think internally, I am made in the image of the creator. I have a mind to think with intellect. When I make a different choice, I can create a different outcome. I am powerful with God because I have the power of choice.
Hmm.
And so when you marry the two, it is such a wonderful thing because they really go hand in hand. Because when you know who you are and you walk in that and you understand your worth, it feeds into everything that you do. I'm here for a reason. I matter. I don't care who told me whatever. It's like being, when you have a home and you have a thermostat, and no matter what weather comes your way, whether it be a snowstorm, a rainstorm, it's 102 degrees outside. The thermostat, your mindset, your faith keeps you consistent. And that's how we have to get. We have to be that thermostat. Our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions should be a thermostat, our faith, to where no matter what happens externally, we are good.
Great, great. Lovely, lovely, Michonne. That was such a heartwarming and such a positive conversation we had. And if our listeners, they want to navigate on the journey of cultivating positivity, seek your wisdom, your resources, how they can do that.
They can go to my website at MishawnChilders.com.
Great. We'll have the details mentioned in the show notes. And Michonne, thank you so much for sharing these inspiring insights. And it's incredible to see how a positive mindset really is within reach, even in the most challenging times. So, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence.
And thank you so much. I truly enjoyed it as well.
And to all our listeners, I would like to add that staying in a positive flow is not about perfection, but about finding moments of purpose, peace, and clarity every day. So, if
Yes.
you wish to connect with our guest, Mishawn Childers, or her check out her work, or her books as well, Discover You and The Voice, Decline or Accept. You can refer the show notes along with this episode. And thank you to everyone for joining us on this journey of mindful living. Stay mindful, stay happy, stay joyous. Thank you.